Hello everybody, welcome back to another art time lapse. Today I'm going along with the theme of juxtaposition. This piece is inspired by the ideas of boys and toys. Now I've been doing a series on like polar opposites and trying to put them in the same piece of artwork, and this is just a continuation of that series. I am using some gray tone mixed media paper that I've taped onto my table for now so that hopefully the artwork won't buckle as easily, but we'll see how things go. I'm actually trying to use less water ratio to my gouache just so that the paper doesn't buckle as much. I don't really like it when the paper's all warped by the end of my art or my painting. So here I decided I'm going to have two boys. I'm using my apricot base color and diluting it with plenty of water just to outline where I think the figures are going to be. As you've seen in some of my previous videos, I tend not to use like pencils or color pencils to kind of sketch out where my characters are and where everything's going to be. Instead, I use diluted gouache to do a rough sketch of where the characters are going to be and how they're going to sit and such. I think part of it is because I'm a little bit on the lazier side. I know if I use pencil, I'm going to have to erase it afterwards. So over time, I've just built this into my routine for how I paint. For those of you who are asking in previous videos, yes, I do use a run-of-the-mill soy sauce dish that I picked up at the local supermarket for painting. I find that because I don't paint for a long period of time, and usually I only paint a small portion of the painting with each sitting, I don't need a lot of paint. So I usually use a soy sauce dish because one, I don't need a lot of paint. Two, I love how it's white so that I know how the colors will look like while I blend and put it on white paper. And I like how compact and small it is that I can put it on my painting and it won't cover up the entire thing. And I think preferentially in the past, when I had sat down and just done longer painting sessions, it probably would have benefited more to have a larger mixing palette. But because now with kids, I usually paint for whenever I have time when they're napping on the weekends, which really limits how long of a sitting I can have. So I feel really lucky when I do have time, and this setup has worked really well for me. Now, if you are also someone who's super busy and trying to find time to do artwork, and you're looking for maybe some tips and tricks how to integrate this into your lifestyle, I've actually put together separate videos on tips and tricks on how I make time to do videos and also do artwork on top of my family life and my full-time work. So you can check that out. On another or similar note, if you do like the content on this channel, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. It will really help a lot. Thank you so much for considering. So continuing with the description of this juxtaposition piece, I love the idea of polar opposites, and I wanted the idea of these two boys who are both kind of at play at this age where they're kind of discovering and learning play with other people, and like they are both have like what they consider toys, which I have one child here with the idea that he's gonna be playing like a guitar, maybe a ukulele, some kind of musical instrument in his arm, and he'll be looking up and staring at a little boy who's holding a gun. I don't know what kind of gun this is, I just kind of googled it, but like it could be a toy gun. But I just imagine my child growing up in a world, meeting a child in another part of the world, and having totally different ideas of what is considered toy and what is considered normal way of life. Looking at this piece of artwork just makes me reflect upon how lucky we are, and also makes me think about like actionable things that I can help make a difference in this world. It could be possibly for another child in another part of the world, or maybe even people locally in my own area, what I can help with, especially with the holidays around the corner for me. So yeah, so that's the idea behind boys and toys. One boy with a musical instrument, the other one having a gun and being taught that this is a toy. I've decided to use a very limited color palette to accentuate the concept and the idea behind the artwork, and I decided to use gray tone paper to kind of give it a more muted color. The style of this artwork was originally inspired by kind of Banksy style with graffiti style art, which I know I am not a graffiti artist, so I can only be inspired by the style and try to do something similar with gouache if I can. I do want this piece to be a little bit on the warmer side, which is why I have decided to use this burnt or raw umber color. Later on, I'll probably use some oil pencils to highlight and create shadows for the piece. Throughout this entire piece, I find that using a smaller brush was really helpful in getting some of those details. And I wanted these two boys to be interacting each other, not necessarily like one person enjoying playing a toy in one corner of the painting and the other one doing their own thing. I want them to be looking at each other's eyes and thinking, or what would they be thinking? I wonder what they would be thinking given like the background they've been exposed to. Would they think that this is odd that they have this thing in their arm? What is it? Or maybe they know what it is and they're like, oh, should I share my toy? I just find it really fascinating about how these two boys could be interacting in real life, or even if there will ever be an opportunity for some of these interactions to happen. I know our world's currently like in a fluctuating state with a lot going on all over the world with wars and famines, and there's a lot of unpredictability, especially with COVID over the last few years. And we've been really gifted to have like a warm home and food, access to safe, clean water. And I've just done a lot of reflection over the course of this period. So that's where a lot of these juxtaposition pieces are inspired from. So I'm hoping you enjoy this art time lapse so far. You can see I've decided to add on a little bit of cobalt blue, mixing it with the previous apricot and brown color. I found that the piece was just a bit too much towards like the brown color, and I want it to be a little bit more stark. I don't know if that's the best description for it. I must say I struggle with my words a lot, and YouTube has been a way for me to practice my language skills, especially with English not being my first language. I don't always feel comfortable expressing myself, but I do know that I need to practice, especially when I go to conventions and I talk to other people about my artwork. And I hope that some of these YouTube videos will give me an opportunity to practice talking about my artwork and just be more readily comfortable with expressing myself, because so much of the artwork is not just about the beauty of a piece, but the story behind it and the message behind it and the process that comes with it. So I hope you enjoyed this art time lapse of boys and toys, and I'll let you enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you so much for joining me on my artist journey again, and I'll see you next time. Stay safe and stay creative, everyone. Bye for now.